sad thing was that I didn't know it was abuse. And it's hard to believe if you tell people all the things he did, if I was to tell you the details of all the things he did, that I didn't know that was abuse. I did not know it was abuse.
I was more afraid also, and still am, of psychological or social repercussions, that he would seek revenge in damaging my reputation.
So it did affect, and it started with things like that, and it just got really controlling. Like, I wasn't allowed to see friends, I wasn't allowed, and I became isolated. I mean, at that stage, I just lost everything. I could see no way out. And I remember thinking that I had a life policy, that if I killed myself, the mortgage would be cleared off and there'd be a life policy. And if I set it up, the 2 kids would be safe, they'd have their home, and they'd be safe, and there'd be enough money for them to do it. And I kept thinking, oh my God, any month now I won't have the money to keep up these premiums on the life policy. I have, there was that time pressure on me that I had to do it before the policy cancelled.
At one stage, he'd start screaming about something and saying, "You fucking cunt," and calling me ugly bitch, you fucking ugly bitch, and all this. And anything he knew I would have liked, he made sure he never gave me. Anything he knew that meant a lot to me, he'd try and sabotage it. Anything he knew that was special, he'd try and undermine it or sabotage it. That's how I think he controlled me, by controlling my emotions.
He was just like, it was a lot of the shut the fuck ups and shut your fucking mouth and get away. And so while I was standing there, he full force pushed the door on top of me and crushed me between the door jamb and the door. And that was the first time he'd gotten violent. And it was a huge shock to the system.
That when I was 4 or 5 months pregnant, and he followed me up, and he started really badly assaulting me, punching me, banging my head against the wall. Punching me, I had handprints on my chest from where he pinned me down on the bed.
The first time there was any incident in the way he behaved badly towards me was when I was about 7 months pregnant, and we were in the place we were living in, and I still don't know what triggered it, but he pushed me really hard across the bed, and I banged my head off the wall, and I got such a fright. I was like, what the hell is this about? And then he looked like he was going to grab me again and do something else to me, so I ran out of the room and locked myself into the bathroom. And next thing, he was pounding on the bathroom door and screaming and shouting, and next thing his boot came through the bathroom door.
I was pregnant. I was only about 3 or 4 weeks, and he bit me so badly on my stomach, and then he left me like that. After 2 days, I had a miscarriage. He left me like that. I went to the doctor. I had a clean-up and everything. I came back. And I just came, and he comes and tells me, he just blamed me for it. He said, you're not careful about yourself. He used to come back from work, and he used to start beating me for no reason. And I used to question myself, why is he beating me? Is the cooking what I've done is wrong? Or am I looking wrong? What's wrong with me?
Said, you can't talk to me, you can't do anything. And I'm just so sick and tired of it. And he just rose out of the bed and started ripping all my clothes off me. Like, he ripped my bra off, he ripped all my clothes, and I could see blood on my arms where he was ripping the fabric across my arms, and then until I had nothing on, he just ripped everything off. And then I thought, oh my God, he's going to rape me, because I really did think he was going to rape me. He started opening his trousers.
He used to say, I'm sorry, I don't know why I do this to you. And I used to look back to him, and then he used to force me into saying, okay, now, he used to have sex with me after that. And I used to I don't know what to do. And then I used to say, okay, because it's to be all hurting me. My whole body used to be hurting me. And he used to have sex after me, and it was very normal.
And I rang the police and begged them to come. I said, he's absolutely flipping out. And just as I hung up to the police, he was standing behind me, and his eyes were huge. He looked like somebody who was absolutely hallucinating or something. And then he started lifting me up as high as he could, and he was a very tall guy, and started whacking me off the ground. And he did that about 6 times. I thought he was going to kill me. I just thought, this is it. This is how I die. This is definitely how I die.
And when we had the baby, he just went back to work. And I'm there left with the baby. And he kept coming home from work every evening. Well, have you started working again yet? And I went, well, I've nobody to mind the baby. Well, I'll help you. He said every month it was the same. For the first few months, I had to ask him for money at the end of the month, so there'd be money in my bank account to pay all the bills and direct debits and everything that came out. And I would not sleep for 2 or 3 nights beforehand, dreading asking him. And then when I'd ask him, he would go mad. As I felt trapped, I had no options. I felt I had no options. The financial things of where was I going to live, how was I going to pay the bills. I felt I had no options. I mean, I knew I was being sold a false story every time, but it was a story I wanted to buy into, even though I knew it was wrong, and I knew things weren't going to get better and I couldn't change and that. But the alternative, the bleakness of, as I said, it was the economy was going down the tubes.
He completely changed all my visa, everything. He made it into a spousal visa. And I completely didn't know that the spousal visa has nothing to do in Ireland. I cannot claim social welfare. I cannot do any education. I cannot do a part-time job. Nothing.
He beat my son. Yeah, he beat my son. And that's what I'm saying. It was the most awful thing, but it was the shock I needed, because I could take what he was doing to me, but I couldn't take what he did to my son. When I saw the bruises, and they were vicious, really vicious bruises.
Every single thing he ever did to me fitted into the fact that it was all about control. All sorts of memories came back to me when I put the word control into my life. All these memories that came back to me, I could hang them on that word, on that one word.